we're not actually going to see them. They're going to see us.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, you're seeing us, and I'm Ian.
I'm Steve.
And we introduced to you the concept of our series on players and GMs having responsibilities to each other as a social unit, as a gaming group. This is true in our game, the Downbelow RPG, and all role-playing games.
So, we are going to tell you today how to be a good GM. Now, we don't mean developing skills at technically proficient game mastering. That is a topic for another series. What we do mean is, regardless of how good or bad you are, how proficient or unproficient you are at the technical aspects of game mastering, how can you be someone whose table people like to show up at?
So, there are some things that are related to the technical aspect, but are not themselves the same as, and there are also some things that are just etiquette that applies to the person who's taking the authority position.
So, let's start with the big one. I finished with it last time. I'm going to say it right now because it is super important. Respect. You are here to play a game. In the case of the Game Master, you are here to run the game. You are not here to stand up and put your personal views into the heads of your players. You are not here to devalue your players. You are not here to get angry at your players. You're not here to make your players angry at you. You are here to do a job. And unfortunately for many people it is a thankless job, which is something we're going to work on with the players especially. But you are here to run a game. Focus on running the game. Check your ego at the door. Check a lot of your opinions. Not necessarily, don't give them up. Dear Lord, don't give them up. But know what you're going to say. Respect your players. Respect the game and respect yourself. Very important.
One of the ways that this respect needs to show itself, you, as the GM, are going to be an authority figure in the game.
Yes.
And you need to recognize that the players will perceive this authority subconsciously more than it actually is supposed to be given to you in this context. So you need to take care to use it even-handedly and only for the intended purpose.
There's some other basic social stuff as well. For one thing, as the Game Master, do your utmost to be punctual. Find it. If you're starting at 6 o'clock, you should probably... This is not arrive at 6, this is be ready to start at 6. The same goes for players too, so you're going to hear this once more.
But in the GM's case, nothing can go without you. You could choose to start without some players who are late or who are not quite ready yet at the time and let them catch up. But without the GM, generally nothing can go.
Second, be prepared. This goes hand in hand with punctual. If you show up on time but not prepared to run for whatever reason, maybe your notes aren't in order, maybe you didn't take notes, maybe you're flying by the seat of the pants and you don't know what's going on, this is not good.
This also relates to the technical skill, because between sessions preparation is some place where GMs can develop their technical skills. But
you also have to be mentally prepared, for instance. So it's not just a be prepared with your notes, it's a be in headspace to run the game.
But regardless of the technical skill you have at the things that you should be preparing for the game, it is a social respecting the time that you are that your players are devoting to you to make sure that you have everything in order and ready.
Be consistent. This is a technical skill, and we're going to talk about it when we get to technical skills eventually someday, but it's important enough to say in the social skill as well, because there will be plenty of times when you have to make a rule or ruling on something, and you might not be entirely certain what it is. Be consistent. If you rule on something one way, don't change it until at least the end of the session. My bad on that one.
So there's a whole bunch of things that are important. You shouldn't be treating different players different ways. You shouldn't be treating the same thing different ways because you forgot. You should have enough respect for the players' need for a fair rules arbiter, that you will write down that decision, make a note of it, at least a mental note, even if not actually physically writing down, so that you will have it consistent for them.
There's also a social aspect to consistency. if Alexi is always making bad Monty Python quotes such that you have banned Monty Python quotes at the table, if John Cleese is sitting at your table, Monty Python quotes are still banned. This goes for the players, this goes to the problem player, non-problem players who can still use the behavior correctly, and you, the GM. If you have banned the Knights Who Say Knee, don't say knee. This is very important, and many GMs don't get that the rules apply to them as well.
And that all wraps up in the fact that when you take on the role of GM, you are taking on more social authority than is actually directly involved in your role in the system and story. And you should be careful in your use of that, because if you abuse it, you can, no exaggeration, ruin friendships because people will feel like you have abused them.
It's true. It's very unfortunate. It's also very true. This goes back to that concept of respect. It also goes to something else, and that is something that's going to be repeated again, but it's a different form of repetition: awareness. Whenever you are preparing an adventure, be aware of the players you are preparing it for. When you are running an adventure, be aware of how the players are taking it, what the players want to do and don't want to do, because sometimes pushing players in the wrong direction is as simple as, guys, I didn't want to go adventuring today. I wanted to resupply. Why are you pushing me out this early? Other times, there's very real issues that can come up with all sorts of things. I could give examples, but we are starting to run out of time.
So I will
awareness is important.
A closing note that ties the awareness in with the consistency. Be fair and even-handed in how much attention you give to each of your players. You should be trying to include and engage everyone. This also relates to the technical skills aspect, but socially, you are giving yourself to all of your players as their arbiter and as their story planner.
Not every player character is entitled to an arbitrarily equal amount of screen time each game. Every player is entitled to an amount of engagement each session.
And an amount of GM attention is part and parcel with that. So,
absolutely.
Thanks for listening to us go on for a bit about what makes a socially good GM. We are going to talk about players' social obligations and etiquette next time. Please stay tuned.